strong.
Hello everyone, it's David. I'm trying out a new intro, so let me know how it works. We are on B5 Movies, Thirdspace, 95 minutes long. You guys might hear an incessant amount of dinging. One of my friends is drunk texting me, and the moron can only seem to get like 2 to 3 words out at a time. So he completely overwhelms my crappy internet out here. And it's just annoying. At any rate, Babylon5, we are on the space between wars. They've won the Shadow War. President Clark is still running loose. Little cray-cray back on Earth. Ivanova is in a Star Fury, and she's battling with raiders. A raider capital ship comes in and tries to force her surrender. But she says, very funny, I was about to ask you for the same thing. And all of a sudden, a bunch of white stars appear and destroy the raiders' capital ship and force the raiders to surrender. Yay! So, while the white stars take the raiders to a Drazi penal colony, Ivanova gets sent home early since it was her idea. So on the way home, she is tootling there, and what, oh dear, something shows up on scanners. All of a sudden, Lita is sitting between two brothers. One is accusing the other brother of having an affair with his wife. And all of a sudden, Lita starts getting these telepathic messages from we're not sure who. However, these two elderly, they have sort of Jewish-sounding names and accents, I should say. But he basically says, no, I did not have an affair with your wife. And she looks at him and she's like, nah, he's telling the truth. And the other brother's like, well, maybe he's so guilty over it that he blanked it out. And she goes, oh, I've been trained to separate real memories from false ones. She goes, he did not have an affair with your wife. And so that heavily manned, which is why I mention it. Ivanova's squad comes across the Thirdspace gate. Ooh, it's big and it's mysterious and it's old. So let's mess around with it. Why don't we? At the same time, Lita almost passes out as she's getting a vision of Babylon5's destruction. Her Vorlon spidey feels are coming out. Coming home, they're starting to make themselves known. Sort of like, pardon the telepathic puberty is happening all over again for poor Lita. Veer, speaking for the League, wants tech from the artifact. Lo and behold, a ship from Interplanetary Expeditions comes through the jump gate. And they get special dispensation from Earth, basically to kind of run around and do what they need to do. Earth wants technology more than anything, and they're even willing to forget transgressors, at least for the moment, transgressors like Sheridan, in order to get their hands on newest technology. So, that's why they were able to get past everything. Plus, Sheridan also wants a few items because of the blockade that they're having trouble. She goes, so you want me to feed the crew? He says, well, if you're going to have lunch for yourselves, you might as well bring lunch for everybody. Lita gets on an elevator with Zach Allen. And Zach Allen tries to ask her out, oblivious to the fact that she's in a trance. It's like one of my subscribers made a comment that's apropos. Zach has the social skills so inadequate that even a telepath can't tell he's interested in her. It's like, oh my god, dude, really? It's just one of those moments where you got the, we've all been at that stage in our life where we've had someone that was so attractive, so out of our league, that we just get things all jumbled up inside. I remember once I had this really good-looking guy, and I was just had the hots for him. And the surprising thing was, after a few more months, he actually asked me out on a date, and we ended up dating around for almost a year. So, you know, it does happen. It does happen. Lita is more of her Vorlon programming. It's coming to the forefront. Dr. Franklin tells Lita she may have been sleepwalking, causing her behaviors. And I can tell you, having been a nurse, I've had a few patients that have had that issue happen, where they literally can walk, and you know, it's kind of part of their epilepsy. Sometimes they seem like they can walk and talk and do all kinds of things, and then they just wake up like, where am I? Why am I here? You know, what the hell is going on? And so, you know, other than the fact that, you know, the simple explanation, the Vorlons did something to her, but no, why not? She might have epilepsy or something like that. Could be a possibility. IPX tracked Lita's ship, we find out, 2 years before going to the Vorlon world. So they know all about Lita. In fact, when they had her in MedLab, they were watching her on a security camera, and she said normally a P9 or higher can sense, but Lita's a P5. So all of a sudden she says, humor me, and switch the cameras. So they switch cameras, and Lita goes, you know, turns and looks at the new camera that just turned on. And then all of a sudden realizes, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to let them know I can do that, and then turns around. While Zach and Sheridan and everybody says, well, that's a pretty neat trick. So it's the first hint that we get, solid hints, that Lita has got more going on than meets the eye. The fights and hysteria start breaking out all over Babylon 5. Zach Allen talks about full moons lining up and beaming bozo rays. Now, I can tell you, having been a nurse, even though they say there is statistically not any more people that go to the ER, because it's always a nurse's thing when our patients start acting up, we always say, is it a full moon out tonight? More often than not, the answer is yes. It absolutely does happen a lot. Even though they say there's not more visits, there tends to be more trauma that occurs around full moons. So, and I can tell you, having been a nurse, especially when I worked in a nursing home on the Alzheimer's unit, it seems like they were just up pacing all night long. You know, normally they would be down as soon as the sun goes down, they're down and they go to sleep. But yeah, during full moons, they can sometimes stay awake for days at a time, which makes it very interesting too when they all try and escape from the Alzheimer's unit at the same time. Deuce, who runs a lot of the rackets down below, he's the guy that snuck the Nakaline feeder on board Babylon 5. He makes several appearances in this movie. And in fact, he says, beautiful, so beautiful, when he's talking about the Black City in the Thirdspace alien universe. Dr. Trent makes a comment to Captain Sheridan, science does not pay attention to a clock. It will happen when it happens. Good advice for today, Dr. Trent, good advice. Captain Sheridan note that Dr. Trent has ancient Vorlon script, and she goes, you know Vorlon? And he's like, you'd be surprised, lady. Doctor thinks it's an old gate to a third space where travel would be almost instantaneous. And so she convinces one of the other doctors to go along with her, and they attach a power cell to the artifact. And that starts all hell breaking loose. Dr. Trent, in fact, kills her assistant. It's beaming all kinds of telepathic messages, and one of them has her trying to prevent anybody from interfering with the Thirdspace artifact. All of a sudden, Sheridan and Delenn go in to talk to Lita because it's sending out telepathic messages. They figure she might know something about it, and they walk in, and there is white-eyed Lita in all of her glory, telling Sheridan and Delenn her Vorlon programming has kind of woken up, and she starts to share with them the history behind the artifact. The Vorlons created, they wanted to storm the gates of heaven and touch the face of God, and in turn become gods themselves, or they also called it the Well of Souls. And what they didn't realize is that there were beings on the other side of this dimension who wanted to come out. And they said they are a power beyond comprehension, older than even the Vorlons. And they are named Species 8472. Oh, sorry. They're called the Thirdspace aliens. Those of you who have seen or know about the B5 versus DS9 episode will get that reference that I just made to Species 8472. Lita transfers knowledge to Captain Sheridan, and she says, "Our mistake, one of many, so many," and passes out on the floor. And of course, the $64,000 question is, what other mistakes are out there for humans to stumble upon in the next million years? Because the only reason they get out of this one is because Lita's Vorlon implants or imprint, giving her the knowledge, and it makes you wonder what happens when she's killed during the telepath war. You know, did she transfer her knowledge to somebody else, or was it just gone like the Library of Alexandria? Dr. Trent ends up getting into a cat fight with Susan Ivanova and loses badly. Riots break out all over Babylon5, and a large alien fleet starts to pour out of the artifact gate. How nice of them to be ready. You know, a million years goes by, and there all of a sudden the gate opens up, and they're just right there, Johnny on the spot. They just happen to know exactly when that gate's going to open, and they can just come right on through. These alien fleet comes out, and they have shield technology, which it takes at least 4 to 5 hits for them to even notice that they've been hit. Sheridan places a nuke inside the rear of the artifact, while the other ships fire at the front of the artifact. It drains the shields around the backside of it and allows Sheridan to slip on through. Would have been nice maybe if he could have picked up that shield technology on his way back out. Anyway, he places a nuke inside the artifact and goes boom. And all of a sudden, as the gate is destroyed, everybody wakes up. And Veer, in a heavily manned thing, is sitting there with Zach Allen. "Why are you hitting me?" Veer, of course, being under the sight control of the gate, having no idea or memory as to how he got there and why the head of security is beating the tar out of him. So, Babylon 5 comes out, none the worse for the wear, but more ships, more White Stars have been lost, hence the need to try and come up with replacements for the White Stars. And also, the $64,000 question. As Lita says, even again at the end, one mistake out of many, so very, very many. What other mistakes, nasty surprises is out there for humanity that the Vorlons let loose during their million-year rampage across the galaxy? At any rate, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know how you guys like the new intros, and let me or put down any advice you guys have for what you think we should be doing with the rest of this series. So, thank you much, and you have a good rest of the day.